Hi there, this is Paul To Live For, and today I am really excited to welcome Kate Sarton. Kate and I worked together at a coffee shop, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago. And when I first met Kate, I'm like, oh my gosh, this young lady has the vibe going. She is one of the most kindest, calmest, joyful people I know. And when my wife and I started To Live For, I knew in my heart that Kate is someone I wanted to introduce to everyone. Kate, before I met you as a barista, and you were the manager, um, how did you get there? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, it coincides with my journey to ending up in Maine. So I had been living in upstate New York. I had been going to massage school, and my parents had moved up to Maine a couple years before that and had kept sending the hint out, you'll love Maine, you should really come to Maine. You can stay with us and all of that. Yeah, we're going to do a big interview.
By the way, we got Phoenix here as well. Phoenix is Kate and Joel's 4-year-old daughter. Speaking of spirit, oh, she is full of it. She has so much curiosity and intellectual, the conversations have blown me away.
Yeah, so you'll probably hear her putting her 2 cents in. So my parents had moved up here a couple years before and had kept dropping the hint. And I finally called them one day and said, if you're being serious, I'm coming. Like, in a couple days, I will be there. And so I ended up in Maine. And while I was trying to get my massage license transferred over from New York to Maine, I was also looking at coffee shop jobs because I had been a barista in upstate New York. And the funny thing about Royal Bean was I had been working at this tiny little drive-through place and it was closing down. So they sent me to the Royal Bean because they knew it had just opened. And I walked in and I talked to Jim and his face just fell because he had just hired someone. And here I was walking in the door with all this barista experience from a company that he knew about. And he was like, no, I just hired someone. Well, fill out an application anyway. Turnover is always high, and I'll get in touch with you if something opens up. And then of course it did. And so, all of that ended up working out. So
Um, so, so the coffee shop was really kind of designed as a transitional job
yes,
because one of your passions is providing massage therapy.
yes.
And I would love to hear a little bit about how the massage therapy came into place.
Yeah, so my introduction into massage was actually I think it was my junior year of high school. I was really stressed out over the college process and wasn't really happy socially. I get social anxiety around people because I'm really sensitive to people, and so it's overwhelming. And my mom had made an appointment for me for a massage with a massage therapist that she had been going to regularly. And I don't know if the woman did this with all of her new clients or if she just picked up on something that it would mesh well with me, but she really went out of her way to talk about reflexology and all the different points on the feet and all the different things that she was doing. And so besides it being a really great experience to have, she kind of opened up this window into some insight into all that massage can offer. And and so that opened up the door, but I put it on the back burner. My parents really wanted me to go to college, so I went to college. And college was actually really amazing because I found myself in an arts department. I'd always been really thrilled by cinema, and so I got involved with the cinema department thinking about making movies. But that department was incredibly abstract and experimental and was much more about the creative process and not necessarily about telling a specific story with characters and a plot line and all of that. And that being able to immerse yourself into the creative process that way was incredibly freeing. I'd always known that I enjoyed being artistic in some way, but in like high school, you have very defined guidelines of what it is. Everyone's working with the same clay and everyone's trying to make the same pot, or the exercise or whatever it is that you're making is very well defined. And this was completely different. Like one of the I think our first thing that we had to make, it was just like the truth and your interpretation of it and whatever it would end up being
In a movie.
in a movie. Yeah. And so it's like abstract cinema is if you can imagine like a Monet or a Picasso or a Pollock as cinema. You can literally paint on film. You can put so many filters on top of something, it becomes abstract, but there's still motion and movement, and then you add in sound and other layers. And what's really interesting about it is because everybody greets art with their own background and experiences, they're going to greet that piece of art differently. And so in that cinema department, it was really about just exploring that whole relationship, which really not only comes down to the creative process, but comes down to that community and interaction that happens. And that was really beautiful, and I loved every minute of that. But at the same time, I really wasn't healthy. I drank way too much caffeine. I pulled all-nighters all the time working on projects. I certainly wasn't eating the right or good food and got sick quite frequently. And so when I was done with school, two things happened. One was, how am I going to make money at abstract cinema? I'm probably going to be a starving artist. And two, I'm really not healthy living this way either. And so that original interest in massage kind of circled back around of like, oh, that's literally a hands-on practical job. It's still artistic because you're interacting with people and customizing the session. And it'll give me a much better grasp on health and my own health and other people's health. And that school was amazing in its own way because the potential of the human body and health is immense, and the potential of massage is immense. And I think for a lot of society, even though massage is gaining a better reputation and understanding by people, I think for a lot of people, they still push it off to the side as this fluffy extra thing and not as really a way to maintain your health. So that's a really long story of saying how I kind of spiraled around to get to that point.
So you said a couple things, and I appreciate your vulnerability, but you mentioned social anxiety. So one of the things I'm wondering is, as you came back around to massage and getting involved and getting certified in massage, did that help as you became more maybe confident in yourself? Did that help with your social anxiety?
I think it helped to a certain extent because it introduced me to the importance of relaxation. And also, if your body is feeling better, you have your other issues lessen. So if you're taking better care of yourself, if you're literally stronger, if you're helping your muscles be stronger, that's going to penetrate in to what's happening in your heart and your mind, and you will feel stronger that way as well. I won't say that it cured it because I think I still had a lot more things to learn. And so I love learning, I love pulling in new information, but being in school has its own social anxiety. You've got this group of people, people are looking at you when you're answering questions or when you're trying to learn things or new techniques. When I was answering a question, I really wanted to word it the right way. I mean, to a certain extent, it's just the expectation you set for yourself. But massage helped in lots of different ways. I think what helped even more was after I'd been doing massage for a really long time, I went into specializing in stress management.
That's great.
Yeah, everybody has stress. We are in a stress society. We do way too much every single day. We don't give our bodies enough rest. We don't eat the right amount of food. We're under a huge amount of stress with the work that we do or our finances. Typically, being alone is not really promoted in our society. It's always about being connected and doing things with other people. And we really need to pause and slow down because it's not how our bodies were built. So doing the stress management certification connected me to the validity of massage and all that it has to offer in initializing the relaxation response. It also reconnected me with the creative process, because that creativity aspect is something that our society, unless you're an artist, it's something that we don't embrace as a daily necessity, even though, for my opinion, it's the core to humanity. It's how we created tools, it's how we created language, it's at the core of who we are. And yet you can look at the example of schools. It's the first thing to be cut on funding, and unless you're a part of high art, you're not supposed to be incorporating it as part of your lifestyle. And it has a huge amount of value in quality life and having a less stressed life, because you're working your brain, you're problem solving, you're in the moment when you're creating, you're working with materials, and being in the moment and having mindfulness is one of the best ways to counteract stress. Because stress is usually us thinking about other things that happened in the past, things that might happen in the future, and we get so out of our body and thinking about these other things.
Into our head.
And what we need to do is come back here and think like, oh, we've got this rock that we're sitting on and its texture. We have silly people to interact with. We have the breeze. We have the leaves that are moving. There's textures. There's sounds that are happening in different layers, from the cars to the birds to the dog walking in the leaves. And that's what we were made to be. We were made to be here, to be able to provide for ourselves, to make our homes, to cook food, to take care of our kids.
And all that takes creativity.
Yes.
This is, for me, an absolute huge nugget of wisdom. Because a lot of the messages that I've gotten from interviews and that I've put back out on To Live For is about being still and mindful and slowing down. But you're absolutely right. If you take some of that time to be creative, that sense gives me goosebumps, because that's how this all has happened.
Right.
Is creativity. I mean, nature has happened by itself. That's creation. That's creativity too. But I'm just like completely in awe of that whole nugget there. And
You did sneak in.
let me fly. So speaking of creativity, you are now involved in a venture that when I read about it and I listen to your videos, speaking of goosebumps, to me it has completely resonated with you, and the message that you're putting out about this is so positive and so full of love. But tell us a little bit about its threads.
Yep.
Just threads or threads?
Typically, it's referred to as Threads.
Threads.
I think the full license name in business world is Threads Worldwide.
Threads Worldwide.
Yep. Threads is a company that started out in Colorado. It was founded by 3 women who were friends in college, and they did a lot of traveling into other countries, and they always came back with the question of like, what can we do? How are these people that are on our earth, who we would connect to if we were in the same town, why is it that they live in that situation and I get to come home to a warm bed and food just because I was born someplace different?
Right.
And
Great question.
it is a really great question, and it kept them up at night, and they'd been thinking about it, and they thought about it for years. And then, you know, they had started having this notion that business was one of the ways to approach that.
Why does this have a tippy rock part?
Yeah, it slants down a little bit, huh?
It's like a slide.
Yeah.
Because if you just donate to something, it obviously makes an impact, but it's a one-use situation. Whereas if you help create business, it's like, you know, the metaphor, if you give a man a fish, he can feed himself for one meal. If you teach a man to fish, he can feed himself for a lifetime. It's the same idea with business, is if you're helping someone start a business, they're able to provide for themselves and their family long term. And then statistics have shown that helping empower women and their families and girls is the best way to eradicate poverty, because women reinvest back into their families. I think the statistic is 90% of their income they reinvest back into their family, which automatically lifts them up higher. So they're feeding their families, they're educating their kids, they're providing health care. And then as soon as you start doing that, it affects the generations. And then the generations see that as normal, and they provide for more.
I wonder why there's no power lines.
I know, no power lines,
Why there no power lines?
because it's nature. So at some point, they came around to the idea of what if we connected with fair trade co-ops, because fair trade co-ops already have it set up so that these people are making a fair wage. And then the job of Threads is to bring those craft items.
Yep.
And they're really high-end craftsmanship, jewelry and other accessories, wallets, bags,
Yeah,
scarves, right?
right.
And bring them to the United States so that more people have access to them, which then provides more lasting income to these fair trade co-ops, because you're spreading the word, you're connecting more people to them. So that way, again, it's not just a short-term business plan, it becomes a long-term business plan.
What is Daisy one?
And what's cool is it goes back to this piece of wisdom I'm really excited about, and that's the creativity part. So you're supporting
Daisy wanna
all
come
this-
up here.
all this creativity worldwide.
Yes, exactly.
So what you're doing is you're selling the product,
Yep,
you're promoting the product,
yep.
and you're doing that individually, but you're also doing it as part of a community, a team.
Yes. Yep.
And how would someone find out more about that?
Well, there's a couple ways to go about it. One is you can just Google Threads Worldwide, and you will find I think you'll find a Facebook page and maybe an Instagram account. You'll certainly find the website. I have a personal website through them, because when you sign up to be a part of the team to help spread the word and all of that, you get your own website. And that way people can shop directly through your website and it gets linked to you. So if you're interested in doing it as a business, that's how it all gets packaged together.
Hey,
I think Daisy sniffed your shell, I think.
Did she sniff? That's what dogs do.
she's probably sniffing my dogs at home.
Yeah. What are your dogs name?
So one of the things I'll do is if you're okay with it, I'll put a link
What are your dogs
Oh yeah,
name?
to
definitely.
your Facebook page on all the different social media platforms
Yeah, that's perfect.
that I do. I'm going to challenge you here. I'm going to go back to something you said at the very beginning.
Okay.
No.
So, and I forget exactly how it fit in, but you talked. I'm making sure the video's still on. And I edit this out.
Yeah.
Always so on.
Is it always still on?
You talked about truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so I never know where these interviews go, but
Me neither.
what is
Yeah,
the
that
truth?
was a laugh from the interview right now.
Yeah.
Oh, what is a kidding?
That's clearly one of your guiding principles. It's a value. So for you, what does the truth mean right now?
Well, first what I'll do.
I wonder why my Mickey Snuggle broke.
Yeah, because it
Yeah.
fell off the table.
Yeah, it fell off the table. Broke.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question, I think.
So what I'm gonna first say, I'm gonna tell you what I did for my project. So what I did,
That's what it was. It was you made the movie.
right? It was our assignment was, what is the truth? And so I was very
laying
literal
on the
with it at
rock.
first, and I went to the dictionary and said, what does the dictionary say for the truth? And it gives a couple different options, whether it's based on fact or someone's honesty or whatever. And I thought, okay, well, let's see what fact is. And I went and I looked up fact in the dictionary, and it gave its definition. So I picked one of those words and went to that. So the video is looking at these different words, but I also used a magnifying glass, one to make it bigger, so that way the camera could see it better, but also to kind of distort it and give a different effect. And you realize as you're going through this that our words just lead to other words. you're not really getting to the truth of anything. You're just talking all around it. And so you're getting all these different perspectives about what it is in the center, but you still don't really know what's in the
I'm
center.
gonna follow Daisy, okay?
Okay. And that paralleled, there's this essay that Heidegger wrote about the truth. And he kind of fleshes it out a little bit more of like giving examples of a fact and how one person's fact could be in fact not truthful from a different perspective. Or if you're working in creativity, if you're a sculptor working with a block of wood, you learn certain things about that block of wood, like how you can chisel it and carve it, or maybe it burns, and you can learn different properties of this piece of wood, but you still don't fully know what this piece of wood is. So you're always learning something new. He called that the act of something being revealed, and at the same time concealing what is on the inside. So I guess ultimately the truth is just experiencing as fully as you can what's happening around you, creature. And
Experiencing fully what you can,
yeah,
what is happening around you.
yeah, and just always not losing that as a guiding principle, and not being satisfied that that's it.
How do you do that now? How do you live in truth now? You know, you're a mom, you're with Joel, you have this majestic land, you're a massage therapist, you're promoting threads worldwide. And at the core of that is your truth.
Right.
How do you stay there?
It's certainly a balancing act. Hey, Phoenix, watch out for the tripod, okay? So you don't want to knock it over.
Sorry.
It's a balancing act.
Like a
So
dog.
I try my best to be in the moment. So if I'm here with you, I'm here with you. And I'm not worried about what I'm supposed to be doing when we're done. Or if I'm with Phoenix, I'm here with her and we're actively engaged and talking. But there's also business things, and sometimes business things is where it gets a little trickier because it...
Is Daisy gonna go far away?
No, she's not. She's gonna hang out. She won't go too far. Looks like she's finding yummy things though.
I'm helping her.
But business gets a little tricky because there's a lot of menial tasks that have to get done. Whether it's learning marketing or a new program, or reminding myself on some statistics about something, or learning some more information about threads or about mindfulness and meditation, or remembering to post something to Instagram. That's the stuff that starts to kind of pull you out of yourself and experience. And so I have to remember to take breaks to come back to the moment, and also to take breaks completely to let myself just be myself.
Right.
Because I love my daughter and I love my husband and I love being a massage therapist and connecting with people. But you have to recharge yourself. You have to have moments that are free, and whether that is through creativity or just taking a moment in nature to just let go of any outer expectations. That's ultimately what I'm trying to balance and stay true to, is having a presence and open heart, and including towards myself, so that I'm not left dry, because
Right.
I've certainly done that to myself before.
Well said. So I really appreciate you sharing that wisdom. We're gonna use some time to look at some of the product that Kate has available with Threads Worldwide. So we'll take a break and we'll take a look at some of that product. All right. So each piece of jewelry has a story.
Yes. Yep. And I don't have them all committed to heart, but I do remember a couple of them. So this necklace right here, and these earrings, which are a similar color. They're made in Ecuador by a fair trade co-op that's there, and they're made from the tagua seed. And that's this cool looking nut right here. and they dry it and they scrape off that brown skin that's on it. And the inside of it is an ivory color, so they call it vegetable ivory. And then they can carve it and dye it with natural dyes. And so you can get pieces like this or like this. And it's really great for two reasons, because one, it gives the artisans a great material to work with, and two, it actually helps the town preserve their rainforest, because it's a renewable resource that is,
That's very cool.
it's a reason for keeping the rainforest there. So there's a bunch of pieces from Ecuador that are made from the tagua seed. These earrings, they're a glass bead. They're made by deaf women in Kenya, I believe. And these women, they can't get a job. There's not much that they can do and be paid for and provide for their families. But this is a job that they can do. They can craft beautiful things and sell them and still be able to provide for their families. Let's see, this necklace, one of the ones that's like heartbreaking, except that they're in a better place now. A lot of the fair trade co-ops that are in Asia are women who are survivors from the sex trade. And so like this necklace, which is a child size, beautiful necklace, it has like iridescent glass beads on there and a little butterfly charm. And it's a small size, so it'll fit a girl. These are made by women who are survivors of the sex trade. So they're able to have a safe job and provide for their families. Let's see, and this one, I did a post on this the other day because I wore it apple
Absolutely,
picking.
yeah, I saw that. Absolutely beautiful.
And feel how soft it is.
That is, wow, it is very soft.
And it's wool.
Look in there. There's colors here.
Yeah, it feels like cotton, but it's wool. And what I love about it is that when you purchase this, you're literally supporting the whole town, because from the people who raise the sheep and shear them, to the people who spin the wool and dye the wool, the people who build the loom, the people who weave it together, pretty much the whole town is involved in the making of a scarf. So when you buy this and wear it, you're supporting a whole town.
And did you say what town?
I don't know the specific town name, but it's in India.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And so, I mean, each piece has a story. Actually, these earrings that I have on, these are made from bullet casings. These are made by women, I think it's in Ethiopia, that are HIV positive. And a lot of the people in the area are shunned if it's known that they're HIV positive, and no one will hire them or give them work. And so there's a town, and again, I don't remember the name of the town, but a lot of these shunned people end up moving there because no one else will work with them. So there's a co-op in this town, and they're able to make things and provide for their families.
Absolutely heart-wrenching stories, but the good news is you and Threads worldwide are making a difference for them.
Exactly.
And that's what To Live For is a lot about. It's taking these amazing positive stories. Everyone's making a difference and trying to connect all that.
Right.
Because that's what the world needs.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for sharing. So again, to connect with you in terms of Threads, you have a Facebook page. We will post that along with the interview. And there's also a Threads worldwide website. But specifically to get to you, you want to look at you have your own website as well with Threads.
Yep, so we can post that.
Right.
I'll have a business card. You can take a picture of that too and have that as part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.